Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulunding. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gash, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gash Group also provides the best security company, Gash Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gash Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gash on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gash Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash.
It's a warm reception to our studio here in Serekunda. This is Star TV News with me, Jacqueline Koli. In the headlines tonight, President Adama Barrow modifies regulations on schools, worship centers and penalties for violation of curfew as he extends curfew for an additional 21 days. 3 more new COVID-19 deaths recorded as 54 new cases registered. OIC Gambia announces design and supervision consultancy firm for airport VVIP presidential lodge construction. Saldauda Conference Center hosts median event. Talinding Ward receives container from EMCCF. Omar Saidi Khan donates bags of rice and masks to the community of Abusi. Rahma Gambia Limited donates computers and other items to the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. On the international scene, Mali economy could fall further after ECOWAS sanctions, expert says. Devaluation of Sudanese pound leads to price increases. Kenosha protests, National Guard troops deployed to Wisconsin. Those were the headlines and now the news in details. In a press release, it states, alarmed by the recent upsurge in the coronavirus disease, infections and deaths in the Gambia are based on advisory from the Health Ministry. His Excellency President Adama Barrow, in exercise of the powers vested in him by Section 34, Subsection 6, and pursuant to Section 34, Subsection 2 of the 1997 Constitution, declares a state of public emergency and a curfew throughout the Gambia for an additional period of 21 days. The Public Health Protection Regulations 2020 and Emergency Power Regulations published in the Gazette on 5th August 2020, as modified below, shall continue to operate throughout the period of this state of public emergency. All educational institutions, universities, colleges, schools, madrasas, daras, matalis and gamos remain closed. An educational institution may be opened for official use by administrative staff and shall open solely for the purpose of administering the West African Senior School Leaving Certificate exams from 17th of August to the 7th of September 2020. A place of worship, mosques, church, etc. may be opened 15 minutes before scheduled congregational prayers and shall be closed immediately after the end of prayers. A person in charge of a place of worship shall ensure the availability of hand cleansing and hygiene materials at the entrance of the premises to be used by all worshippers. All forms of public gatherings remain prohibited. The release ends. 3 more COVID-19 related deaths recorded on Thursday, 27th of August, bringing the total to 96. A crude case fatality ratio of 3.4%. All 3 tested positive for COVID-19 prior to their deaths, while 54 new cases registered. Dara Cham tells us more.
The said deaths were detected through the routine virtual clinics being conducted by volunteer doctors monitoring the condition of COVID-19 positive cases in home isolation. 54 new cases registered, taking the total number of COVID-19 cases ever confirmed in the country to 2,797. This represents a 24.8% test positivity rate, 54 out of 218 total tests performed. The median age of the new cases is 34 years, ranged 2 years to 68 years. 280 new laboratory test results received from MRCG and MPHL. Of this, 30 new tests returned indeterminate. 105 new recoveries registered, bringing the cumulative number of recoveries to date to 743, 27% recovery rate, whereas 17 people were newly taken into quarantine. 4 new discharges were made. The country currently has 44 people in quarantine, 1,958 active cases, 233 probable cases, and a crude case fatality ratio of 3.4%. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Dado Cham.
The Gambia OIC Secretariat, in collaboration with the Ministry of Transport, Works and Infrastructure and the Gambia Civil Aviation Authority, is pleased to announce the recruitment of Netherlands Airports Consultants as the consultant of the design and supervision of the construction of an ultra-modern presidential VVIP lodge at the Banjul International Airport, in preparation for the forthcoming OIC Heads of State and Government Summit in 2022. Modu El Baji tells us more.
Under this agreement, NACO and its Gambian partner, Cityscape of the Gambia, will provide integrated design services for an independent VVIP pavilion for the exclusive use of the President of the Republic and other designated guests. This complex will include presidential lodges, press rooms, protocol offices, security offices, parking lots for the use of passengers arriving and departing the presidential lounge, and roads linking the lounge to the aircraft approach. Additionally, the engineering firm will provide detailed design and pre-contract services for a period of 23 weeks, as well as deliver construction compliance and site supervision duties for 52 weeks. This signing marks yet another indication of our logical approach to systematically putting in place an array of infrastructure to ensure a successful hosting of the OIC 2022, said Mr. Yankuba Diba, the Chief Executive Officer of the Gambia OIC Secretariat. The VVIP launch will give our guests a taste of the experience of the Gambian hospitality. It will provide a befitting welcome to the smiling coast of Africa. The building of a modern presidential launch at the country's only international airport ahead of the OIC summit in 2022 will uplift its image and standards in line with the international protocols and high-level reception requirements. The project will complement ongoing efforts by OIC Gambia and the Gambia government to position the Gambia as a leading conference destination in the sub-region. Moreover, like other OIC Gambia projects, it will create several jobs, opportunities, and transfer of knowledge to local firms and individuals. For Star TV, I am Modu El Baji.
The Sadaura Keraba Jawara International Conference Center on Wednesday, 27th of August 2020, hosted its first ever event since beginning operations last month. The state-of-the-art facilities at the ultra-modern convention center facilitated the participation of the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs in the virtual annual general meeting of the African Development Bank. Omar Job files in this story.
The conference center, which is one of the biggest of its kind in the sub-region, was inaugurated last January by President Barrow. Last month, the government announced that an interim intergovernmental committee was set up to operate the building for public use. We are fully operational now and indeed very happy to have successfully facilitated a smooth virtual conference for the Ministry of Finance, said Mfalli Fadera, the communication manager of the center's interim management. He declared that the conference center is equipped with modern high-tech facilities and can host a variety of events. In keeping with the times, it has enough space to accommodate large events in line with WHO COVID-19 guidelines. The Sadauda Kareva Jawala International Conference Center, which was built purposely to host the OIC Summit in 2022, is part of the long-term plans of the government to position the country as one of the leading conference destinations in Africa. It occupies a gross floor area of 14,000 square meters, which includes one 1,000-seat major conference hall, 4 200-seat themed meeting rooms, 1 lounge, 4 press rooms and news centers, 14 meeting rooms, office sections, baguette halls, and other accessory rooms. For Star TV, I am Ahmad Job.
The Talinding community through the ward councillor received a container of hospital beds and other valuable items from Ibu Mala's Child Charitable Foundation and the National Police Aid Convoys. Mariamadem reports.
EMCCF is a non-profit humanitarian charity foundation established in July 2017 by young Gambians based in UK, aimed to help ameliorate the suffering of children and their vulnerable families in the country. The items donated are about 150 different items, which include hospital beds, crutches, and shoes. Sambaba, Secretary General of Ibu Mala's Charity Foundation, explained the reason why they started with the Talinding community.
We met a lot of authorities in the Gambia before starting this whole charity work. We met a lot of stakeholders, but then we realized Talinding is one of the communities that we can work with. So it's a pilot project sort of. So we are piloting with Talinding in KMC and then Nyanija in the Central River region. So they have the structures and they have the organization to be able to work with us. It's one of the reasons why we choose Talinding.
Bo Baji, on behalf of the Alcalo of Talinding, showed appreciation and gratitude by thanking the two foundations for their kind gesture towards Talinding and also encouraged them to continue supporting the most vulnerable in the communities. However, Mr. Baji also took the opportunity and urged the people of Talinding to have one purpose and work hard towards the development of their community. Honorable Karamo Sise, Councillor of Talinding South Ward, and the people of Talinding showed excitement over receiving the items and thanked and prayed for the donors for the great gesture. The National Police Aid Convoy is a group of officers also based in the UK, using their influence networks and negotiating skills to find help and deliver them to the most vulnerable people in the country. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.
Since the outbreak of COVID-19 in the Gambia in March, many philanthropists, government and even private institutions have taken it upon themselves to come to the aid of Gambians, as many are seen providing them with not only self-protective equipment but also providing them with foodstuffs, which is indeed very vital in one's life. A former wrestler gives out more than 500 bags of rice and approximately 2,500 face masks to the community of Abusi. Binta Koli was there and she now files in this report.
With the surge in the number of COVID-19 cases in the country, many workplaces have closed down or laid off some of their staff in the name of preventing the further spread of the deadly coronavirus. Considering the poverty rate in the Gambia, some Gambians have been very helpful in providing for the needy. Speaking at the presentation ceremony, the man behind the gesture, Omar Saidikan, said that the people of his community have always supported him throughout his wrestling career, and he deemed it necessary to give back to them.
We did a lot together, both youngsters and elderly ones, and they were standing for me, both black and white. So today I see that like it's also my duties to come and participate in my community, stand for them, and we come out together, we support each other, be there for each other.
The former wrestler added that things have been difficult during this trying time, and many people needed the aid he provided. He advised Gambians to always help each other, especially during crisis.
We have to come up together, we fight together, make the Gambia great, in the sense that we have to stand for each other. This is our Gambia. No matter what happened, no matter how difficult the situation is, we don't have nothing but the Gambia. We have to stand for each other. We have to be there for each other. What goes around always comes around. Allah says it in the Quran, when you give one, I reward you 100. So why do we have to wait for each other?
Sadikan declared that he has a lot of things in store for the community, especially the youths.
We are working on a lot of projects. As you can see here, behind you, we have a reserve land here, which we wanted to build, to put a skill center there. Because we have lots of youths here who are always, they are depending on nothing. None of them are working. What we did in the beginning is like we come out together with our numbers, attack the strazas, the ghettos, talk to the youths, convince them. You show them that what they are doing is not normal. They have to stand for themselves. They have to stand for the nation. In the sense that being all together, sitting, drinking attire or thinking of otherwise, it will never help. So we come up with this idea. We used to go convince them, talk to them, bring them out. If you can see here, we have 4 different workshops here. We talk to them, we talk to people who have the skills, we convince them. We take like 10, we give it to a mechanic, or a carpentry workshop or a welder man, we talk to you like we have these kids and we want them to be educated. If they have these skills so that they can benefit themselves, benefit their family and the people surrounding them.
Some of the people that received the good gesture and spoke to us showed how thankful they were and how the assistance given to them will take them a long way as things are difficult for them at the moment. For Star TV News, I am Binta Kuli.
Rahma Gambia Limited on Friday donated desktop computers, chairs, tables and other useful items to the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital in Banjul. Our Sane tells us more.
Speaking to journalists, the CEO and founder of Rahma, Mr. Alassane Cissé, said the reason why he named the company after his mom. He said that things that humans do for each other change how people live in the society. According to him, this was not a donation, but a social investment because whenever things go wrong regarding health, the first thing an individual does is to run at the hospital for checkup. So in that case, they are not doing the donation for the hospital, but for everyone, because anyone can be admitted at the hospital unexpectedly.
This is just a start, but we'll be doing a lot more of it. Our future plans included, adopting a ward in the hospital, whereby a good chunk of our profit will be coming there, to fill in the void that the government couldn't come in, because we all know the government can't do it alone. Communities cannot do everything. So it's through collective work, collectivity that we can make a lot of changes in our society. So yes, this is coming from our heart to the hospital, and as I said, it's just part of one of the things that we will be doing when it comes to COVID. We are going to the provinces to dish out quite a few face masks to the communities that are vulnerable, that needs it a lot. There's a moment to show that this is us as a business to come forward and do the best we can, and to the fact that we are in the position to do it and we are happy to do it, we'll be doing a lot more of it, inshallah.
Meanwhile, the worth of the items donated is less than $500,000, and the other part of the items will be delivered on Monday, the 1st of September 2020. He further said that they will like to know what the hospital needs so that they can see what they can do about it. He also encouraged other companies to come forward and help because hospital is one of the most important places in the society. The PRO, Mr. Keba Sane, said that he was very happy and thankful that Rahma came to their aid. According to him, Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital is the only referral hospital in the country. Therefore, they appreciate any donation which comes to them.
Because we know healthcare is not easy. It's not cheap. There is no free healthcare in any part of the world. Healthcare is taken care of by the government, by individuals, organizations, and other enterprises. So we appreciate what they donated to us.
He said that the items donated will be forwarded to the departments that will make best use of them. Reporting for Star TV News, I am Awasane.
Those were the local stories. We will be back with international news after the short break.
Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash, producers of the finest tomato paste in the Gambia. Jaja tomato paste, available in 5 kilos, 1 kilo and in sachets. For wholesale and retail, visit our factory at Banjulanding. We are also producers of Jaja mineral water, cool, clear and fresh. Gash, Gambia, Angola, China Holding, with headquarters at Fatu Golden Plaza, Mile 7, Bertel Harding Highway. Gash Group also provides the best security company, Gash Security, for your offices, warehouses, homes and personal property. Gash Group for all your construction projects, offering you quality water reticulation for your gardens, pump irrigation, tidal irrigation projects and all types of buildings. You can contact Gash on 396-7894, 700-8993, 373-0259. Visit us at Gash Global Group on Battle Harden Highway, Fatu Golden Plaza. Our website www.gashglobal.com. Gambia, Angola, China Holding, Gash.
And now beyond our borders, Mali's economy will worsen because of sanctions imposed by regional bloc ECOWAS following the August 18 coup, economist says. The sanctions have cut off trade and travel with the landlocked country already suffering from violence amid COVID-19. Al Jazeera's Ahmed Idris reports from Abuja, millions of people are struggling to find money and food.
Sidibe Yusuf arrives home after spending the day looking for work and money to buy food. His family members are eating the last of the rice they have. Their plight is similar to millions of others in Mali, impacted by the worsening economy.
Life is very difficult in Mali compared to what we hear in other countries. Everything is very expensive. It's very tough.
Sidibe isn't sure if or when he'll be able to get a job or afford to buy his family's next meal. At Bamako Central Market, business is grinding to a halt. People here say they feel frustrated and apprehensive about the future. Yakuba Jani is a videographer and says the military coup over a week ago has made life tougher.
Everything was fine before the coup, but since then customers have stopped coming. Not many transactions happen these days. Some customers are even afraid to come out.
Half of Mali's population live below the poverty line. Thousands of farmers have been pushed off their fields in conflicts over farmland and acts of violence by armed groups. On 18th August, the army deposed President Ibrahim Boubacar Keïta after months of opposition protests. The regional bloc, the Economic Community of West African States or ECOWAS, announced sanctions including an air and land blockade and the halting of financial transactions with member states. But some experts say that will only make matters worse.
This will have a tremendous effect on the economy because, as you know, we are very dependent on foreign trade. And also we have an important diaspora. We have remittances coming from the diaspora, which is very important, more important than aid. And if the banking system, if you have restrictions on the banking system and the transaction, this will have tremendous effect. And also on the exports and imports end, this will be very damaging to the economy.
Falls in commodity prices and COVID-19 infections had dampened the economy before the coup. Now the country's new rulers are asking the 15-member regional bloc ECOWAS for a reprieve.
With the concessions we made, we asked that the sanctions ECOWAS imposed on Mali should be eased or lifted entirely. What matters for us is the population doesn't suffer. Sanctions are a big problem because it's the ordinary people that will eventually suffer.
After the talks with the new military leadership, ECOWAS is due to consider the call to end its policy on Friday. It could grant or refuse the request. If it declines, thousands of Malians will face a difficult and uncertain future. Ahmed Idris, Al Jazeera.
A shortage of foreign currency reserves in Sudan is leading to the devaluation of the Sudanese pound. This is causing price increases and some traders are opting to stop sales during this period of economic uncertainty. Al Jazeera's Hiba Morgan reports from the capital.
When Ibrahim Osman opened his shop in the Sudanese capital Khartoum 2 years ago, he had hoped the sales would earn big profits. But he says lately, he's had to increase his prices to cover the costs of importing them and keep his business open.
3 weeks ago, I used to sell a metre of ceramic tiles for 900 Sudanese pounds. Then I had to change the price a week later to 1,000, and now I sell for 1,200. The value of the Sudanese pound has dropped, and so I need to sell at a higher rate.
Ibrahim says he gets his hard currency from the unofficial black market. Banks are short of cash, and there is limit to how much a trader can get officially. Lately, the parallel market has seen a rise in the value of hard currency, which resulted in some traders opting not to sell their goods.
I have stopped selling my goods because what you sell today, if you calculate its price for the next day, you'd realize you made a loss. Its import costs would have gone up, so we stopped selling till the exchange rate stabilizes so that neither of us nor the customer wastes money.
The value of Sudan's currency has been falling for the past 9 years. That's when South Sudan won independence. Sudan lost 75% of the oil fields, which once accounted for nearly half the foreign exchange. The economic crisis triggered food protests several times. The largest led to the ousting of longtime President Omar al-Bashir last year. But since the transitional government took over in August last year, the pound's downfall accelerated, from 70 pounds to the dollar last August to 200 pounds to the dollar today. Meanwhile, the official rate is 55 pounds to the dollar.
The difference between the exchange rates in the banks and in the parallel market, where most traders get their hard currency, has resulted in the value of the Sudanese pound dropping by more than 40% in just 3 weeks. And that's reflected not just in the prices of building materials, but on other commodities in Sudan, as many are imported.
Sudan blames policies of the previous government for its economic woes and 20 years of US trade sanctions which were lifted in 2017. But nearly 3 years since it was lifted, the inflation rate is at 150%, devaluing the currency further and raising the costs of basic goods. The transitional administration has taken steps to manage the crisis, including the partial lifting of fuel subsidies, which took up 40% of the country's 2020 budget. But some analysts say there are other steps the country could take to solve the crisis permanently.
Both this and the previous government policy tried to tackle the symptoms and not the root causes of the currency devaluation. The root cause is lack of production. That should not be an issue. Sudan has agricultural lands that it can farm. It has gold that it can mine. But policies in those sectors are not helping the country's economy because the focus isn't on long-term solutions.
Ibrahim says he isn't going to wait and see what the government's solution for the economic crisis is. He says he'll continue to change his prices to keep up with the exchange rate and hopes that he earns enough so that his business doesn't go bankrupt. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Khartoum.
Protests continue for a fortnight in the U.S. city of Kenosha in Wisconsin as anger grows over the police shooting of Jacob Blake, an unarmed black man, on Sunday. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers has called in 500 more military troops from the National Guard to join hundreds of local police and sheriff's deputies in riot gear. The White House promises to deploy federal troops following sometimes violent demonstrations. Al Jazeera's John Hendred has more from Kenosha.
Hundreds of law enforcement agents at all levels are descending on the small city of Kenosha, where local police have struggled to quell escalating violence. The ramping up of law enforcement follows a fatal fight between protesters and a teenager who fired an assault weapon on demonstrators, killing 2 and wounding 1.
Hey, he just shot them!
Using video from the scene, sheriff's deputies arrested 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yo, man, you're here to start and then when starts, you're going to blame it on everybody else.
It was not clear whether Rittenhouse was among the armed militia members who verbally clashed with protesters. After days of looting, arson, and violent clashes, the city has responded with a new curfew.
We're not going to put up with what we saw Monday night. We're not going to. Does that mean we're going to stop it all? We aren't going to, it depends on numbers that come. We're not going to be able to stop it all, but we're going to be assertive in helping to protect the city of Kenosha and Kenosha County.
The governor has called in a broad array of law enforcement from across the state of Wisconsin, the region, and the federal government. Governor Tony Evers has called in 500 more military troops from the National Guard to join hundreds of local police and sheriff's deputies in riot gear. President Trump offered up federal troops, saying, "Today I will be sending federal law enforcement and the National Guard to Kenosha, Wisconsin to restore law and order." That federal contribution could be sizable. A law enforcement source tells me that 60 FBI officers and an untold number of federal SWAT officers are coming from Chicago alone, adding to a force that has increased dramatically in recent days. The demonstrations began on Sunday after police fired several shots into the back of Jacob Blake, a black man left paralyzed from a shooting his 3 sons witnessed from inside the car where he was struck. Wisconsin Attorney General Josh Kaul says the investigation into that shooting shows police were trying to arrest Jacob Blake following a complaint from his girlfriend that he had trespassed in her home. And Kaul named the officer involved.
Mr. Blake walked around his vehicle, opened the driver's side door, and leaned forward. While holding on to Mr. Blake's shirt, Officer Rustin Shesky fired his service weapon 7 times.
Kaul says Blake admitted to officers that he had a knife, later found on the driver's side floorboard of his car, though video did not show him threatening officers. As protests continued past the new curfew, demonstrators seemed undeterred that a massive influx of police planned to shut them down. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
And before we end the news, a quick recap of our main headlines. President Adama Barrow modifies regulations on schools, worship centers, and penalties for violation of curfew as he extends curfew for an additional 21 days. 3 more new COVID-19 deaths recorded as 54 new cases registered. OIC Gambia announces design and supervision consultancy firm For airport VVIP presidential lodge construction, Sadauda Conference Center hosts median event. Talinding Ward receives container from EMCCF. Omar Saidi Khan donates bags of rice and masks to the community of Abusi. Rahma Gambia Limited donates computers and other items to the Edward Francis Small Teaching Hospital. On the international scene, Mali economy could fall further after ECOWAS sanctions, expert says. Devaluation of Sudanese pound leads to price increases. Kenosha protests, National Guard troops deployed to Wisconsin. That's all for this edition of the news. Do join us tomorrow for more news. Please stay tuned and enjoy the rest of our programs. Thanks for watching.